think of your adrenals as kind of like a sponge that's holding energy. It's holding cortisol, adrenaline, a whole bunch of different stuff. Basically your energy source for your body. Now, when you take energy drinks, when you take pre-workout, which is what I was doing prior to me crashing the first time, this is how I got sick. This is kind of like you taking that sponge filled with energy and then squeezing it and twisting it completely dry. And you're causing it to overperform. And it can only do that for so long. So yes, if you're taking all these things, these supplements, yes, you can perform at a higher level, higher than most people. But if you're not sleeping, if you're not recovering properly, if you're not having a solid diet to counterbalance that, then what happens when that sponge is completely squeezed dry of all its energy? What happens? That's not good. Your adrenals won't be able to produce energy. How's it going, guys? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about adrenal extract, ashwagandha, and adaptogen supplements when trying to recover from CFS. Now, this is something that probably comes up in a lot of forums or in a lot of your research, trying to figure out different ways you can help speed up the process of recovery. Now, I can talk about this because I've actually tried these extensively myself. If you're not too familiar with my story, I was sick for about 4.5 years of debilitating, mysterious symptoms. I went to every doctor I could find, every specialist, and no one could figure out anything that was going wrong with me other than some twinges of adrenal fatigue. Actually, I did register with a lower cortisol level throughout my entire, well, not my entire, but throughout the most intense parts of my journey. So one of my naturopaths did put me on adrenal supplements because he was saying my adrenal glands were underperforming. Now, aside from that, pretty much everything else was in the clear. However, looking back now, we treated the adrenal potential issues and that actually made me worse. So I'm gonna share my insights on these specific supplements, adaptogens, ashwagandha, and adrenal extract, and share my thoughts with you. So this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Always consult with your medical professional before implementing any of these things into your life. However, if you've tried all these different things, if you've had tests and scans done and nothing seems to be working and you're still stuck or you're getting worse, then these principles can help you. So I remember I spent a lot of money on these supplements. As many people watching this right now, maybe you're in the same boat. Maybe you're paying a monthly fee to refill your 30 capsules or 60 or 90 capsules or however much it is to get your daily intake of these certain supplements that your doctor or naturopath is telling you that you need. Now, in some cases, yes, you do need these things because you may be deficient in certain vitamins. For me, I believe that I was deficient in these things. However, what we found that I actually wasn't. So why did I take these supplements in the first place? Well, one, I was desperate. I was desperate to do anything and everything I could to make any kind of progress. I mean, no doctor was telling me, hey, this is what's going on, you should do this, or you should be doing this. When they were offering me solutions, it wasn't really a solution, it was more like a band-aid fix. They were trying to treat my symptoms without really understanding what was going on. They said, yeah, we could try this anti-anxiety, you just seem anxious. Yeah, we could try this antidepressant. Yeah, we could send you to this therapist. Yeah, we could try this medication to lower your heart rate, this medication to get rid of headaches and help with the pain. But to me, I never wanted to take the medication because all I heard basically was, how can I get you out of my office and get you to stop showing up here? Because clearly nothing's wrong with your test. I just felt like they were brushing me aside because they looked me up and down. They basically look at me like I was completely fine, give me this almost dirty look, almost this crazy look like I was sitting there making this stuff up. And they just say, well, yeah, based on what you're feeling, just take this. Without even asking sometimes, how long has this been going on? What are your symptoms like? What else are you feeling? How did this all happen? They didn't even really ask me any deep questions. They were just so ready to give me this medication. I was so turned off by the whole thing and the whole medical industry that I didn't trust them anymore. So I went to naturopaths, functional medicine doctors, and they actually, and I don't know, I'm assuming this is because I was paying lots of money to them, and these are private companies, so they would take the time to explain what they think is going on, try to look at things from a holistic perspective, and they'd actually come up with some pretty convincing reasons why I was sick. They said, oh, it's because of this, because of that. Oh, you need a detox, which that's a whole nother video that I need to talk about another time, but they'd say, yeah, your adrenals are not functioning as they should. So we need to give you supplements to rebuild your adrenals. And so that's what I did, actually. However, if you didn't watch my other video about hydrocortisone, definitely watch that video up here, because that kind of ties into this video. This video talks about these supplements which are known to rebuild your adrenal glands. But sure, you can build your adrenal glands up all you want, but if you're not fixing the root problems that's causing your adrenals to overperform, which leads to underperformance in the long term, because it can only sustain high levels for so long. You can only handle so much stress. It's gonna reach its breaking point and it's gonna start underperforming. So one thing that did make a lot of sense was one of the naturopaths. She said, think of your adrenals as kind of like a sponge that's holding energy. It's holding cortisol, adrenaline, a whole bunch of different stuff. Basically your energy source for your body, right? Now, when you take energy drinks, when you take pre-workout, which is what I was doing prior to me crashing the first time, this is how I got sick. She said, this is kind of like you taking that sponge filled with energy and then squeezing it and twisting it completely dry. And you're causing it to overperform. And it can only do that for so long. So yes, if you're taking all these things, these supplements and these energy drinks, yes, you can perform at a higher level, higher than most people. You can work longer hours. You can be focused for longer periods of time. But if you're not sleeping, if you're not recovering properly, if you're not having a solid diet to counterbalance that overload on the adrenals, then what happens when that sponge is completely squeezed dry of all its energy? What happens? That's not good. Your adrenals won't be able to produce energy. So the thing is, with these supplements, you're getting an external source of whatever energy, basically, adding it into your adrenals. And then whatever energy you do have with this, you're thinking that, oh, wow, I have energy now. But really, you're getting the energy from these supplements. And here's a trap that a lot of people fall into. They start over-relying on the supplements, and really their energy becomes almost like synthetic energy. And this is what happened to me. I ended up digging myself into a much deeper hole than I was in to begin with. Because yes, I pushed myself to a point where the sponge was squeezed dry. There was nothing left, but it was very little. I was running on like 1% battery. But because we were adding in these adrenal supplements, ashwagandha, adaptogens, adrenal extract, it gave me a feeling of energy, but it wasn't my body producing it. I was getting all these external triggers for it to produce the energy, or the energy was not coming from me alone. So yes, I could add these things and then I could function again, but it wasn't really my body producing that. So what happens when that supplement starts to wear off on my body and it's no longer effective? Or what happens if I go on a trip and I forget my supplements at home? That was my biggest fear. And this is tying back to what I said earlier. You start to rely on these things. You start to over-rely on these things, where these things start to become your lifeline. And that's not a good feeling. It's not an empowering feeling to think that if I go somewhere and I forget this small bottle of whatever pills are inside here, that I'm gonna crash and I could end up in a hospital. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's not the most empowering feeling. You're definitely not thriving. You are pretty much surviving. So that's the thing with these certain supplements. You start to become over-reliant on them, and it gives you a false sense of energy. I think that's the key word here, false sense of energy, because you feel like you're getting better, but typically that's only because you keep increasing the dose on these supplements and start relying on it. And I remember my dad one day, I have a picture here actually. These are all the different adaptogens I had. I'll share a picture on the screen, but I would take even ThyroCare, because apparently my thyroid was going out of whack, 2 times a day. I would take adaptogens 2 times a day. For 2 years, I was taking it 1 time a day. I was taking adrenal extract 4 times a day, right? For almost a year. I was taking all these other different things. I was taking this thing for my nervous system, actually. There was a bit of alcohol in it. I used to call it my magic potion. I'm supposed to take it as needed. And so I did take it as needed. But the more I took it, the more I felt like, wow, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling all this energy coming back. Let me go do normal things. But really, I didn't even have the patience to build a solid foundation. So you start to get this false sense of energy, like I said. Then a lot of people can end up over pushing themselves while on the supplements, to the point where they're taking supplements just to get by. I mean, they're in a near crash state, like bedridden, and even taking the supplements, they can barely get to the washroom. Whereas before, at least they could go outside, they could sit in their backyard, but it gets to the point where your world actually starts to become smaller and smaller, and then you're taking more and more supplements. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to personally who went through the exact same thing I did, where they were in a not the greatest place to be, but they could at least go to the washroom on their own. They could at least feed themselves in bed. But as they added on more and more supplements, they started doing way more than they should have been doing because they had the false sense of energy. And as the world gets smaller, obviously that's more stressful, more frustrating on the body. It's more scary mentally and emotionally. You're more isolated. So then you feel the need to rely more and more on supplements. And so many people I've met, and I was the same person, where you're in bed all day, you got a whole tray of supplements beside you, and you feel like it's your lifeline. And you measure it exactly. You make sure you don't miss a single dose, because you feel like if you miss a single dose, you could end up crashing, and now you've gone back 3 months in recovery, right? So you feel very fragile. Again, it's not the most empowering place to be in when you feel like you're alive because of these supplements. So it's just something to be careful of. I can tell you that when I got to the hospital, the first thing we did was get rid of all my supplements. The doctor said, "Okay, we have to detox you of all this stuff." And I said, "No, we can't. This is my lifeline. If I'm feeling this bad with the supplements, I can't imagine being off them." And the withdrawal was very intense. I remember I was having severe diarrhea, severe dehydration. I was hooked up to an IV that just cleared my liver, cleared my kidneys, cleared everything for about 3 weeks straight. I was hooked up to an IV, and they said, "Yeah, we need to clear your system of all of this because your body is so confused right now because you've added so many supplements in that it's making you worse. It's literally poisoning you." So I said, "Okay, well, I'm not going to say no. I mean, I'm in your care. Obviously, what I've been doing up to this point hasn't been working because I'm in the ICU." So I said, "Sure, okay, whatever you think is right. Honestly, it can't get much worse than this." But it did get worse because I went through that detox of all of this. It was about a 3-week period. Brutal symptoms, just constipation. And if I wasn't constipated, it was diarrhea, trouble with digestion. And, eventually after about 4 weeks or about a month in ICU, my body was cleared of everything. And they moved me to another wing in the hospital. And that's when I met my doctor. And he started telling me the reason I was feeling this way. It's because my brain was sending the wrong signals to my body. Now, again, this is after we've ruled out everything else. We've ruled out all these other diseases and potential causes of this through tests and scans. So make sure you do those things before you go all in on the brain retraining. Make sure you've done your due diligence. If you've done your due diligence and nothing else is working, and you've literally tried different treatments and supplements and medications, and you're not getting better, then obviously it doesn't make sense to continue down that route. It's a hypersensitive nervous system issue if you ruled out everything else. So as soon as he taught me that, hey, you don't need these supplements, this is a nervous system issue, and here is why you're feeling the symptoms you're feeling. Your body's in survival mode, this, that. He essentially taught me all these things. Basically everything I teach in the Recovery Science Blueprint, which you can find down below, that's exactly what he taught me over the course of about a week. He drew out these diagrams on a board, and those are the diagrams in the Recovery Science Blueprint that really made everything make sense to me. And for once in all these years, all the puzzle pieces came together and it clicked. It made sense. I'm a very visual person too, so that's why these diagrams really helped. And it really made me understand what was going on. And after that, I no longer needed adaptogens. Never taken an adaptogen, not once after that. It's been 6 years. 6 years ago, I was just being moved into that wing of the hospital. Right now, at the time of this filming, this is March 5th, 2024. And I think it was March 2nd that I moved to the other wing of the hospital 6 years ago. That was in 2018. So it's a very different situation. At that point, I was still bedridden. I wasn't even moving around in a wheelchair. So a lot can happen in 6 years. And since then, I haven't taken a single adaptogen, not a single adrenal supplement, no ashwagandha. In fact, I'll drink coffee maybe once every 2 weeks. I'll smoke a cigar here and there, but I don't rely on things now for me to feel healthy. I take vitamins. I'll take vitamin C and vitamin D. I'll take a multivitamin. I'll take magnesium if I remember, right? But these things are all just a bonus. I'm not gonna lose sleep over missing these things. In fact, sometimes I miss them for several days. Like if I'm traveling, most of the time I'll forget to pack these things because I don't really care, honestly. But if I'm at home and I remember to take them, I'm like, yeah, that's healthy to take. Only because the doctor who helped save my life, he said, yeah, you should be taking vitamin D. You live in a very cloudy area up in Canada. You don't get enough vitamin D. So I said, okay, well, if you say it, you're the only doctor I trust. So I'll take those supplements and vitamins, but I don't rely on them. I won't lose sleep over them. I'll be fine. I won't even notice it if I don't take them, but I just take it because apparently it's healthy for me. So that's all I wanted to share about adaptogens, ashwagandha, and adrenal extract supplements. Me personally, they didn't help me. They actually made me a whole lot worse. I ended up spending a lot of money on it. I have the invoices to prove it. But overall, again, this is just advice from my personal experience and what I've seen working with hundreds of people all around the world. You're free to do as you like. If you want to keep taking them, keep taking them. If not, then stop. But I just wanted to share my experience with you and be completely transparent. I don't think every case would end up like mine. I think perhaps they might help you in your situation. So do your own due diligence. Make sure you see your doctors, take their advice if it makes sense, if you are actually feeling better or you have true deficiencies. But for the most part, if it's not working, then perhaps you're going through the same experience that I went through. And I don't want you to go through that. I want you to go from surviving to thriving. So that way you can have your life back and you can experience all the amazing things life has to offer. I've experienced it myself. I see people experience it every single day as they move closer to thriving health and reach thriving health within our programs. And if they can do it, if I can do it, you could do it too. Recovery is absolutely possible. So if you did need some extra help, if you needed some guidance and support and you needed a community that understands you, you could click the link down below, learn about the Recovery Academy. It's something that's accessible to almost everybody can join it. We also have a lot of free videos on this YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Comment down below if you've tried these supplements before and if they even helped you, or if you had a similar experience as I did. So again, if you need extra help, click the link down below. We have a full team of coaches who have actually gone through CFS, diagnosed fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, and have actually recovered and are now hiking 18 kilometers at a time, going on runs for 3 kilometers at a time, training for duathlons. So they have fully recovered. If you want results like that, if you need some extra help, we're here to help you. So always remember that you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.